Hi folks, welcome to my video. Cyclops FPV here, and today I'm just going to do a very quick overview and a very basic one on the SKYZONE FPV Goggles 04L Lycos screens. Now we'll start off by doing a quick unboxing to see what you get with the goggles. And we get a box that's full of leads, and we get another box which has got instructions, and the you get a spare faceplate and the sponge and the backing sticker, which is in this box here. So that's that one. You get the instruction manual. Now these are this is written in Chinese and in English. The basic specs are 1280 by 960 resolution. Field of view is 39 degrees. It's got a steady view receiver, which I believe is also called the Rapid Mix. It can be DC 6.5 volts to 25.2 volts and a USB 5 volt. DVR is a H.264 30 frames per second, moving 6 Mbps. SD card support up to 128 gigabyte. It's got a built-in 3-axis accelerometer and 3-axis gyroscope, and what that means is that you can set it up so that if you don't move the goggles within a certain time frame, it will switch itself off. Now this is all controllable in the menu, and I do believe you have to have the head tracker switched on, which will enable the gyro. So when you move the goggles, it will re-switch itself on, and I believe it even saves the SD card footage by doing that as well. So let's just go through all the leads. And so you got your I believe this is your HM your HM what do they call it? I always get tie-tongued at that bit. Yeah, the HDMI in, and your this is a micro C USB. You get the AV in. You get your lead for your battery there, which goes in your DC. You got a couple of these dipole antennas, which are okay, they're not bad. Hopefully there's some flight footage at the end of this video, and stay tuned for that. Oh, and you also get these as well there for your so you can plug these into like a television or something and play your videos back and whatnot. The battery doesn't come with it, that's just a battery that I use. Yeah, so these are LCOS screens. They're quite expensive to manufacture, and they're not as good as the OLED ones, but it's exactly the same as the SKYZONE 04X, except for the resolution and obviously the screens. But these sort of sit a little bit comfortably below that sort of price. I paid slightly over the odds for this from Banggood, but what I'm going to do in the video description, I'm going to direct you to a Makerfire website that do these really cheap. So you'll be saving yourself about I don't know, 70 pound. I don't know what that is in dollars, but quite a bit anyway. The fan's got 15 speed settings, and it does two jobs. It obviously demists the eyepieces, and it also cools down the receiver. And the receiver's put in here, but it also you can add another receiver in there. You can either put another one of these in there, or you could put a rapid fire or something like that in there. I believe you can even use shark bite on this if you've got a HD system on your quad, then it will run on that. You got your menu button there, which you can scroll and press. You got your one touch record there, and it's got to be a quick press. You got more menus on there as well for the I believe it's more for the DVR, that one, and this one's more for the screen settings and your band and channel and everything. It's all on there. It's fairly easy to use, and yeah, you get two face plates. Obviously I've got the bigger one on there, and if you compare the size, there's quite a noticeable difference between my Onways, which were my go-to goggles, and these. See, there's these are quite chunky and heavy, but they feel well made. There is an air of quality behind them. A lot of people found that the strap's too tight. I haven't found this. In fact, I've even made it tighter than it originally came with. So this is your battery strap for the other module. Well, you can put a battery on there for the actual goggles itself, but I think you get a long enough lead. Where is it? You get a long enough lead to actually put this in your pocket and connect a battery to the XT60 on there, and you can run it from your pocket. But you can put it on this little bit here, but I think that's mainly to power up the second module, because obviously you're going to have to power that up by an external source. Yeah, you get your twin receivers there, and they're quite good. Now I found that I had to turn the colour down on these. They were a little bit too bright. Like I said, you got quite a few settings on here. You got I can't remember whether it's 3 or 4 factory settings which you can't change. That's the brightness, the saturation, the hue, and all that. And then you've got one customized setting that you can add your own, and you can select it via the menu and everything. I found that I'm using just the standard one, but I turned the colour down because it just looked too bright. And don't forget, these are not as bright as the OLED ones, but I still had to turn the power down on the brightness, because it just seemed unnatural. It just seemed too bright. I like things to look as natural as possible and not oversaturated. So yeah, you might have to mess around with the settings on there. The best features about this, I find, are the diopters. These feel really positive to when you're setting these up. They got a nice sort of click and a nice sort of feel, and I haven't had them slipping yet. And then you've got these two up here, which is just the depth of the screens, so you can sort of move them in and out until you get the right sort of eye relief on them, and they work really well. I'm long-sighted, which means that anything that's too close up will look blurry. So I had no trouble in adjusting these, and I got there really quick with it. The other redeeming features is the rapid mix. I think in the menu you can set the you could set the speed of how it refreshes, and I think I've got mine on fast, I believe. The only downside is the refresh rate from the screens. They're a little bit well, you don't notice it so much when you're flying. It's just when you look at it from afar, you can see the slight lines where it's trying to refresh itself. But as I said, like, flying is no problem. You got a 4x3 and 16:9 setting on this. When I think the camera in the drone that I flew it with was on 4x9, and I flew it, well, I have flown it but didn't record it on 16:9, sorry, 4x3, and then I flew it without recording on 16:9, and usually you'd get a stretched image. Well, it didn't really seem that stretched to me. It looked pretty natural. It's just the screen was slightly wider rather than shorter. But the field of view and everything, I've flown all sorts of different degrees and everything, and I've never had a problem with field of view and everything. It's you know, it's okay. No light leakage. It's quite thick sponge. You do get another sponge for the other one as well, so you can have two face plates and just change them within seconds, you know. So depending what kind of face type you've got. I've got the wrong one in here. This is slightly too wide, but it works, you know. I don't get any light leakage. It could do with being smaller, like putting the other one on there, but I don't know, I prefer the look of this one. There's too much of a gap with the other one on there, but I'll get on with it, you know. It doesn't bother me. It fits well enough. Yeah, and that's about it really. It's a good goggle. It's certainly better than the other one that I've got, like the Onways, but it doesn't. It's hard to explain. It's always awkward trying to review goggles. It's down to the preference of the user and what their eyesight is like, and you know, what their face fitting and their demands are. But I mean, obviously these are analog goggles. A lot of people are moving on to HD, but I haven't got any HD quads. Until they start making smaller HD equipment to put on them, I'll be stuck with analog. But I'm okay with that, you know. It's good enough. These are slightly better. Like the screens, like if I'm going through scraggle and through trees and stuff, I can see better out of these, but that's mainly the resolution, not the screens, that are doing that. The screens are nice and crisp. On the default settings, I found the colour slightly, you know, a little bit too bright, and I toned it down. So, but you know, you might prefer it like that. Really, all it is just the backlight. It's just the backlight on the screens that are doing it. You know, what's more important to me is the colour and the hue and saturation and everything. As I said, I like to get it as natural as I can. Yeah, that's about it really. It's not really much to say about it. It's a good goggle. You know, it fits well. It's good quality. You can do firmware updates on it. I've heard there's trouble on the SKYZONE 04X, the OLED ones with the rolling screen and everything, but apparently there's a firmware fix for that. but I can't say for sure whether, you know, it's a fix or not, because I don't own them, which kind of put me off getting the OLED ones. And as like, my on-ways didn't really bother me that much. This has got a very much different resolution, a very low resolution compared to these SKYZONEs, but I fly these and it doesn't bother me at all. You know, I've got you know, I've got virtually the same sort of stuff on there and the same sort of menu, and you know, it's still my go-to driver. But yeah, like I said, it's just a personal preference. You know, like what you want. Do you really want to spend nigh on $400 on an analog system, or do you want to spend, you know, $200 more and get yourself like I don't know, something like DJI? But again, with DJI, you're stuck in their ecosystem. It means that you have to buy their air unit and all the rest of it. You know, you got to have the quads in the first place to put all that gear in. And the more quads you want to fly in HD, the more air units you're going to have to buy, because until someone comes up with a smaller unit and manufactured by other companies, you're stuck in that monopoly that only DJI can provide. So, you know, that this is why I wanted to upgrade to a good quality make, a good company that listens to their customers, and as I said, the analog part doesn't bother me, so I can still fly all of my quads on this, and the image is only as good as the camera that you've got on the quad. Obviously, I've got sort of lightweight, you know, all-in-ones in most of my whoops anyway, and the quality isn't very good to begin with anyway, so it does make flying with these a lot better, but it's not a cure, you know. But if I'm flying something with my Ant Nano or my Starlight, then obviously I'm going to get a much better picture, and those cameras have got their own menus as well, so I can muck around with the menus on that plus the menu on this and get a much better picture. So in the long run, for analog, this and the OLED version is worth investing in. But if you're thinking of moving to HD, then obviously, you know, it's not going to be for you, because you've got to think of the investment in the long run. And until companies start coming out with smaller HD systems for, you know, toothpicks and micro whoops and all that, other than the DJI one, then we're stuck with analog. A good thing about this is the on-off button. You can plug your battery in there, and it won't start up until you long press that. But anyway, yeah, so that's just a quick sort of overview on the SKYZONE 04Ls. Good goggles, but as I said, like, you know, you got to think long term, you know, if that's what you want to get into. Me, I will be flying analog for quite a while, and you know, that's why I sort of pulled the you know, pulled the button on it, sort of thing, because I can see good out of them. They're slightly better than what I had, and they're you know, they'll go good with the cameras that I'm gonna use in the future, you know. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. There'll be some flight footage coming up, so you can check out the DVR footage, mainly the footage from the rapid mix, because I go through some trees that I usually get really bad breakup on this, even with the Viper antenna on it. and I was just using these things, which I would never use anyway. But for the purpose of this video and this review, I used these, and I went through some. I was flying behind myself through a lot of scraggle and that, and I hardly got any breakup at all. I could even see some of the ghost branches that I went through. So yeah, you know, already it's proved itself. So anyway, cheers for watching. Flight footage coming up. It's, you know, make up your own mind on pay no attention to the camera. It's an all-in-one. It's not a very good camera. It's just a Whoop camera that I used. But you know, it's mainly the signal and everything that was the purpose of it. The camera is, this is all dependent on the camera that you use. These are only screens. These are only receiving goggles. You know, obviously, if you use a decent camera, you're going to get a much better picture. It's the latency of the camera that I used from the sensor that made the grass kind of go sort of like bright green 1 minute, and then it will go sort of like a browny colour, and then it will go back to green. That's down to the camera and the sensor on it and the latency and everything. That's nothing to do with the goggles. The goggles are just what you see, but it's only as good as what the you know, the camera can produce an image for. But anyway, you know, that's my review. Here's the flight footage. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Okay folks, so this is the video that I took from my SKYZONEs, and I'm using the standard dipole antennas as they come with it. You know, I thought I'll just use what I got in the packet. However, I have got loads of much better antennas that I could use, but I would have thought it'd be a better representation if I used the standard ones you get with it. And actually, I was quite impressed. They did quite well. You'll see in a minute. I'll get a slight signal loss here. It's happened a couple of times. I always get it there. It's not the, well, I say it's not the transmitter. I'm not sure. It does it every. Maybe it's just the way I was facing. I don't know. Yeah. So this is the video as it comes off the SD card. I haven't mucked around with it or anything like that. I'll just put it straight onto my video editor, and this is how it's come out. Now you'll notice that the colour of the grass gets greener, and sometimes it sort of looks a bit more fadey. That's the camera. That's not the goggles. It actually the camera's got a not a very good sensor in it, although it's okay, but the sensor is a bit iffy, and obviously on a better camera you'd get a better image, but you know, that's not the goggles' fault. Now this is what I mean, like I'm using the dipole antennas, which are absolutely terrible, but look at this, look, I'm flying right behind myself, multipathing in a whole load of trees there, and hardly any breakup at all. In actual fact, I could even see the branches a lot clearer than I can normally going through there. Usually it's just white snow, and that's just with the stock antennas. So yeah, I was quite impressed with that. That's quite thick foliage there. So yeah, I'm just flying about, sort of just getting used to these goggles really. It's this quad is one I built myself. It's more of a cruiser, which is probably why you're seeing a bit of yaw wash out, and it doesn't do heavy acro stunts very good. But this is not about the quad. This is more to do with the goggles and the DVR. And I've got to say the DVR is quite good. The best thing about these goggles is the diopters, the adjusting of the diopters, and also the receiver. I think it's also known as a rapid mix, but you can put a rapid fire on it as well in the spare module bay there. But yeah, I thought these are really good, and that was the whole point of doing this flight video, just so that you get an idea of what you get in the packet. Is what I'm using. You can see there that I'm using the two antennas on the goggles, but I've got one facing sort of upwards and one facing sideways. Now I would never use these antennas. The only reason I'm using them is just to show you the video as it comes out of the box. I would usually use a patch antenna and an omnidirectional antenna. My go-to is my Viper, or my my Menace RC linear. Was it a Bandicoot patch antenna as well? I use that, and I usually use a Pagoda or a Triumph Team Black Sheep antenna. I use all sorts, but yeah, usually I always use a patch and an Omni. Okay, well, thanks a lot for watching.